What's up, everybody? I'm Jack. We are Sim Racing, and today we're talking about Raceroom Racing Experience, what I believe is probably the most or one of the most underrated sims in sim racing. It does so many things so well, but not a lot of people play it. And then we have a race. We're going to be in TCR cars at Macau, which I kind of am regretting that track choice a little bit because there's a hairpin in Macau that is so tight, and there's multiple times in this race that I just get stuck in the hairpin. But I thought it would be a cool track to test how good the AI is, because I truly, honestly believe there's not many, if there are even any sims on the market today that could handle AI on a track like Macau, but Raceroom can. And the only real problem with this race was my driving. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy this race. I really appreciate everybody who's liked, subscribed. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It means so much. I hope you enjoy this race. Let's get it. All right, Raceroom TCR cars, Macau. A very challenging combo. We're going to try to see if we can survive a 15-minute race. This is a narrow track with no room for mistakes. After I get through the first little section, I'm going to talk about Raceroom, what I think it does so well. I'm going to talk about these cars in this track and why this is the combo I chose for today's video. But I need to survive this first lap, or at least this first sector, so let me focus and get through that. As the car in front touches the wall, the Audi. These TCR cars are so sick though. And there's an obsession in sim racing right now. Well, it's been not just right now, but for a few years, with GT3 cars. And I just think there's cars like this that are so much better for racing that just get ignored. No TC, no ABS, front wheel drive a little bit different. And I think people maybe avoid cars like this because they don't understand front wheel drive or how to drive a front wheel drive car, or maybe they just think front wheel drive's boring. But these cars are sick. Alright, this is where things get really tricky for me, so I'm gonna focus up. Alright, I gotta take it real easy right here. Everyone's checking up. We're going 20 miles an hour. Oh my gosh. Alright, so
it looks like Huff, Benani, and
Macau
turn 21
is so narrow, and there's just corners like that one that we just went through that are so tight and you have to slow down almost to a stop. And there's videos out there of cars piling up at that corner in races not being able to continue. I don't know how long Macau will survive as a racetrack because of things like that, but
still there. Sector 2 is now
it's pretty fun that it's in Raceroom. And I thought, oh my gosh, I thought it was a good choice for this video because I figured Macau would show us how good the AI, this is a challenge for the AI to be able to provide good racing on a track like this. I don't know that the AI and many other sims could pull this off. Oh, although maybe spoke too soon.
You're in the middle, clear all round. Incident clear, green flag.
And this this track is not represented in very many sims natively, if any. I mean, I know there's modded versions for like AC1 and things of that nature, but I can't think of a sim that has Macau in it, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them have avoided this sim because they don't think their AI can handle it. And imagine an online race here. It would be ridiculous. So anyways, that's enough about Macau. So, like I said, these TCR cars, Raceroom does a great job with cars like GT3s, GT4s. Raceroom, oh, lock up, lock up. We made the corner. That was scary. Raceroom does a great job with GT3s, GT4s, vintage cars. Honestly, every car in the game is done to a really high quality and a high level.
Yellow flag, stay sharp. Okay,
so
Jack,
bad.
10 minutes to go. 10 minutes left. Green flag, you're clear. Green flag,
But
sector
these
1.
cars are, there's no comparison in any other sim. There's no touring cars that even come close to matching this
The leaders just
in terms of their
237,
driving, their
124.
physics. And I think this is what makes Raceroom great. But I do need to talk about some of the pitfalls of Raceroom. One of the big pitfalls of Raceroom is,
P9.
in my opinion, the, oh, I shouldn't have hit the brakes there, is the lack of dynamic track rubbering over the weekend, race weekend. So that happens
Make them do the
in
work.
most modern sims have where if you start in practice on Friday, the track's going to be pretty green, not have a lot of rubber, and then as the race weekend goes on,
Car right. Clear right.
the track's going to get more and more
Green
rubbered
flag,
in,
sector 2.
creating more and more grip. Then if it rains, maybe some of that rubber will get washed away, and that sort of thing. Which brings me to another point. Rain. Raceroom doesn't have it. There was, or late last year, there was a update to Raceroom's graphics engine that kind of was a big deal, but a lot of what was said about it was that, you know, it might show a little bit in how good the graphics look, but the reason it was such a big deal was it opens up the possibility for rain and day-night transitions, which are currently not in the game, and that's why that graphics engine switch was such a big deal. And to me, that is the only thing holding Raceroom back from being one of, if not my, favorite sim. I think if we're talking just purely driving experience and how the cars feel,
Yellow
except
flag.
for that stupid turn there.
Incident clear. Back to green flag.
And if you watch my single player racing sim tournament, you'll know that Raceroom got knocked out in the first round by its older sibling. I'm gonna see if I can go flat out here. Oh, easy. GTR2 knocked it out. And I think that was a little bit of a shame because I think it left the impression that Raceroom isn't that good by being knocked out in the first round of the Jack Crater single player sim racing tournament. But Raceroom is awesome. Raceroom is would have beaten a lot of the other sims
Car right. Clear
that
right.
made it a lot further in the tournament. The AI is definitely faster than me in this race, and they definitely cannot get past me. But I am impressed with how the AI is managing this track. I mean, like I said, it's hard to imagine fill in the blank sim, maybe AC1. It's hard to imagine AC1's AI being able to handle this. It's hard to imagine, yeah, fill in the blank, any sim being able to manage this track like the AI here is. Another feature, and I've talked about it in previous videos, that is so underrated when it comes to sim racing is the adaptive AI in Raceroom. It takes a little while to get the AI, adaptive AI, working because you have to do like 2 or 3 races in a class of cars before it understands how fast you are and gets the adaptive AI matched up to your ability. But once you do get it matched up, it makes, oh my gosh,
Yellow flag.
it makes for this is
On your right.
it makes for an incredibly fun custom championship because I crashed kind of sideways.
That's a new fastest lap for
I blocked all the AI and they couldn't get past. You know that scene in Austin Powers where the car gets stuck trying to turn around and it's just back, forward? That's what that reminded me of. Oh no! Oh my gosh. And we got some suspension damage there. I can feel a vibration in the wheel.
Got a little bit of suspension damage.
Yeah. This is not been the prettiest race to showcase my driving abilities, but you know, we're gonna keep it authentic. Now, feeling the vibration, subtle vibration in the force feedback does remind me another thing that Raceroom does really, really well, which is obviously force feedback. So about a year and a half ago, I think, they had a huge force feedback update. And in that force feedback update, they basically got rid of canned effects, is what they called them. But essentially, over-the-top effects that were not necessarily connected exactly to the physics of the car and the physics of what was going on, which gives a much more pure, natural feeling force feedback. And the only thing you feel through the steering wheel is things directly connected to the steering rack and things directly connected to physics and what's going on. And I think Raceroom's force feedback is really interesting because compared to some other sims, it's a little more understated, if that makes sense. Like, oh man, like that understeer, for example.
It's you've got half your fuel left.
It's subtle in the way that it tells you it's understeering. It's not the force feedback isn't shouting at you, "Hey, I'm understeering. You need to." The force feedback's not shouting at me that it's understeering or oversteering. It's pretty subtle, and I think the first little bit of time with the new force feedback, I actually kind of struggled because I was like, I can't tell what's happening. Because I am so used to other sims where the force feedback is shouting at me, oversteer, oversteer, oversteer. And once I've gotten used to this force feedback, it feels much more authentic and it feels much more natural. And when you pay attention to what's happening in the wheel, yeah, you really can understand and a much more nuanced way what the car is doing. And I have no problem immediately sensing that understeer and oversteer, catching slides and things like that. And it feels better than most other sims.
E9. That's a new fastest lap for Joe. 2:33.20.
Oh my gosh. Overcorrected there.
Clear left. Clear left.
Well, that car finally got passed.
That's disappointing, but shit happens. Keep pushing.
Yeah, that's very true. So, yeah, so that, and that leads me to one more thing with Raceroom, which is how they've handled updates. I feel like a lot of sims, they try to bite off more than they can chew, and they try to do big, grand, over-the-top updates that change everything, and they're groundbreaking, and they're all this stuff. Raceroom kind of only bites off one thing at a time, and then they just perfect it. So they had their, a year and a half to 2 years ago, they focused on their force feedback, and they got their force feedback to a place where a lot of people would argue it's right up there with the best in sim racing. And then once they nailed that down, they haven't touched it. They haven't changed it. And then the next year, they focused on their graphics engine and getting that up to modern standards, and getting that to a place where it'll be ready for rain and dynamic. That corner is so ridiculous.
Your right side's clear. Clear all round.
The fact that we're in a race and I've gone into reverse like 5 times is insane. But then, like I said, them focusing on that graphics update, and I'm sure this next year they're probably going to be focused on the implementation of weather and day-night transition, which at that point there will be nothing that this game doesn't have. It's free to get started. It's got decent graphics now after that graphic update. It's got
P10.
It's got top-notch physics. It's got a good online racing system, unfortunately that not enough people participate in. It's got great single player, great AI, multi-class racing, custom championships. I think why Raceroom hasn't been more popular than it is because it doesn't do any one thing to an extraordinary level. Like iRacing does online racing to an extraordinary level. ACC does GT3 racing to an extremely high level. AC1 does modding and does, gives this infinite amount of possibilities through the modding scene, and it does that really, really well. Le Mans Ultimate does force feedback and AI racing and endurance racing really, really well. And Raceroom just sits in this space where it doesn't have a single focus, but it does everything so good. Everything so good, and it's hard to find a flaw with this game. And I think that's what makes it so underrated, and I wish more people played it. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, why don't more people play Raceroom? Why isn't it more popular? What is keeping you from playing Raceroom? Like, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this video. Raceroom, give it a try if you haven't already. It's free to try, so no excuses. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.